Oftentimes you can be fooled because they seem to be able to carry on just a normal conversation with just kind of social chit chat, but that's because they still have that rhythm of speech. So in a closer look, we've got the neurodegeneration. So dementia involves progressive degeneration of those neurons, which are the building blocks of the brain. The degeneration disrupts the brain's ability to communicate between its different parts, which leads to impaired cognitive functioning. Memory loss is one of the most noticeable effects. Oftentimes, that's the first things that people notice is the memory loss, starting with the short-term memory, and then eventually it will affect long-term memory. And this is due to the damage in the hippocampus. Here's a picture of the hippocampus. This is a healthy hippocampus, and right here is the area that our memories are stored. Well, if you can see here, here is a brain with Alzheimer's. See how much significant loss there is? So why is short-term memory affected versus long-term? And this is exactly why, due to the vulnerability of the hippocampus. The hippocampus is a critical structure in the brain for forming new memories. It's one of the first areas to be impacted by many of dementias, including Alzheimer's. Damage here leads to difficulties in converting short-term memories to long-term memories, make it challenging to remember recent events. And then there's the actual damage to the neurons. And in dementia, so neuron loss directly impacts the brain's ability to process new information and maintain those short-term memories. And then there's disruption of the cognitive networks. So dementia disrupts the neural networks that facilitate communication between parts of the brain. This disruption particularly affects the networks involved in short-term memory, since they are responsible for immediately processing and recalling new information. Short-term memory relies on different processes compared to long-term memory. Long-term memory involves more established and widespread connections across the brain, often remaining intact until dementia progresses further. Short-term memory load. The brain constantly updates and manages a large amount of information in short-term memory, making it more susceptible to disruption. And then there's language and communication issues. As the dementia progresses, the language skills decline. People suffering with dementia struggle to find the right words, follow conversations, or understand what others are saying. The medical word for that is aphasia, and that is very, very common in people with dementia, as well as people that have suffered strokes, depending on the parts of their brain that were affected. Reduced problem-solving abilities. Dementia can impair the ability to plan, solve problems, and make decisions. And it often stems from the damage to the frontal lobe, which that's the area that's responsible for those executive functions, so those higher functions, as I showed you in the previous slide. Then oftentimes people notice behavioral and personality changes. Mom just seems angry all the time, or she's always mad at me. These have to do to the impact, again, on different areas of the brain and the ones that govern emotion and impulse, and that impulse control.